Well, good morning. This is a very strange country. Yesterday, which was Easter Sunday, it was baking in 18 degrees. This morning, we've got snow. Lordy, lordy, what's this all about? Now, you may recognise this place. This is Padderley Gorge. And apart from being a very boring person, I have got a very good reason for coming out here. Oh, and I tell you something, it was -1 when I left the car. So -1 from 18 degrees. It's a little bit of a shock to the system. Good morning again. Excuse the Rudolph looking nose. Blimey, it's freezing. Now, I've mentioned a couple of times that I have a new camera. And I decided, today would be the day to go out and try it out. Now, you probably get some idea of the fact of how unenamoured and uninspired I am by it, by the fact I've had it for 3 months, and this is my first trip out with it, and we're on Easter Monday. Whew. And I can't tell you why. I can tell you that I'm not much good with change. I don't like modern technology. I have had the D7200 for, in total, I think about 7 years, and I'm really used to it. It does everything I need it to do. I know where all the buttons are, but it's like an old friend. The reason for swapping, or not swapping because I've still got it, investing in a new one, and I'm just having a look to see what's what, because it's a while since I've been to Padderley, is I'm fairly certain I've got a focus issue with it, and I need to send it away and get it looked at. And I didn't want to be without a camera. The first thing I would say about the new camera is it is small. It is diminutive. And that might be, sorry, I'm just looking, because I don't want to really end up on my bum and everywhere's slippy and wet. And it kind of, when I took it out of the box, it was like, my God, it's a toy. And that didn't inspire me. If you're wanting to buy a new camera, this is probably not the vlog to watch, because I am going to start off very negative about it. The second thing that I find frustrating, you're meant to be able to charge it, excuse me, from the mains. And I have a multi-plug adapter that I use for charging all sorts of things. I take it abroad because it's got European converter socket things on it. And it won't charge off that. I didn't realise this. I ended up phoning Harrison's cameras and saying, it doesn't work. Can I have a new one? And they said, try charging it through your PC. Joy. Yeah, that works. That's fine. So that's pilot error. But for it to charge off the mains would be really useful. Maybe you have to get some special adapter to use, because obviously I wanted to charge it in the van. I have an inverter in the van so that I can charge things other than using the USB. I've set it up, such as setting up is, and when I say setting up, I've set back button focus, and that's about it. Oh, I haven't told you what it is yet, have I? Yeah, it's the Z50. I really can't justify full frame. And they don't do the D7200 anymore. I had a look around, couldn't find a relatively new used one, if that makes sense. So I thought I would venture into the mirrorless world. And the reason I ended up going for it, I didn't go out to buy a camera. I went out to get an accessory of some description from Harrison's. And while I was there, I saw the Z series sitting on the shelf. So I thought, I'll have a look through the viewfinder, because I have a real issue with the viewfinders on mirrorless. And I'd heard Mally Davis say, it's amazing. It's much better than they used to be. And I thought, yeah. But having had a look through it, I thought, flipping heck, he's right. And I said, how much is it? And it was a proper deal. It was something like 950 quid for the body, the 16-50 lens, and the converter adapter thing, so I can use all my normal lenses on it. So yes, I am impressed with the viewfinder, which is not something I thought I would be. So today is the first test of it. So I'm going to set up when I can find something. I wanted flowing water, because you know what I'm like with flowing water. And Padley was the closest place. It's still really local to me. And I thought, oh, it snowed. Might be nice. It's bizarre, there's more snow driving up through Sheffield than there is up here. So I think I found, there's another photographer. No, I'm going to go down further. There's another photographer over the other side. I really don't want him to think I'm nicking his composition. So yes, it's the Z50. It's the baby. It is, I think it's 20 megapixels, which is great. It's about the same as the D70-200, I think, might be slightly less. I'm not worried about megapixels. I have an A1 poster size image on my wall that was blown up from, I believe it was my D90. Might even have been my D80. And it's brilliant. So pixels per se have never really bothered me. Not a particularly interesting composition to start with, but I've got my gloves on, which are great. My hands are really warm, but the sticky stuff on them, you can see it, the shiny stuff there, gives you so much grip. I can't move my hands up and down my gimbal handle. Yeah, I think we'll have a go at something here. Because I prefer or I love long exposures, I figured that this would be a good place to come and try it out. If I can get it to work here, then we're sorted. If I can't, on the way home I will be calling into Harrison's camera and exchanging it for a D500 that I've seen virtually new. Because I have no patience. But we'll see what happens. Right, we're going to get set up. This is a little bit odd for me because I don't think I've ever done a review on a camera. And I didn't want to go through the whole unboxing it because you've seen the cameras being unboxed 100 times before, I'm sure. It's not the most exciting thing to do. And had I been excited about the camera, then maybe I would have done. But I wasn't, so I didn't. Let me just give you a little look around it. Can you see how small it is? It's like minuscule. I feel like a Goliath holding this thing. A couple of things that I've found so far that I quite like. I'd say the L bracket fits, which is fabulous because I really didn't fancy having to buy a new one. So this is my old, you can see it in there, it's a Sunway Photo DPL-04. It's a universal one and it works quite nicely and it doesn't stop me using the screen. So if I'm shooting up high for some random reason, I can still tilt it down. I'm not entirely convinced I'm not going to end up breaking that. That gets in the way a little bit because with the converter on, or the, yeah it is, it's a converter, isn't it? So I can run my old lenses. You get a different mounting point. You can just see it in there to put the L bracket on. You struggle to fix it on, you'll not see it, but underneath the body, excuse me, the body of the camera is the original mounting point for an L bracket. So that's a slight drawback, but it's not the end of the world. It will not cause me any major grief. I quite like the fact that I have that. As I say, I'm not entirely convinced I'm actually going to use it at any point, but hey, you live and learn. I've got the spirit level set up and I like that, do like that, and I've figured that, oh, Gordon Bennett, let me find an image, that's it. So by pressing that button on the screen, I can zoom in and then I can use my fingers to move around the image. This is a really rubbish image, but hey, I was just practicing. I think you press that one to zoom back out. And you can use your fingers to swipe through the menu. I see, as soon as I do that on the viewfinder, it turns the screen off. Right, I'm with you. So you can scroll through with that, or you can scroll through with your fingers. So that's quite a neat little touch. Now, I brought the D7200 with me. You see the difference in chunkiness on that. That's just crazy. It's like a dinky toy. And that irritates me. And it's because it's new to me, that's all it is. The L bracket works perfectly. I like the flip out screen. I'll learn to love the touch screen. I'll learn to love when I get it set up with all the menus. I need to be able to access white balance really quickly, and that's about it, I think. ISO's on the top, but there's a button on the top here to change your ISO and to change your exposure compensation for the times that I do shoot in aperture priority. The main dial on the top is fairly self-explanatory. I've set back button focus on here. This little button, can you see this? This little button here flips you between the screens, so you can have it so that you only see through the electronic viewfinder, or you can flip between the pair of them, and that's what I've got it set on. When my eye goes to the electronic viewfinder, my display comes up in there. As I move away, it goes onto the rear LCD. I haven't found out yet if you can set up a histogram on here. Excuse me. I've never had a histogram in live view. I've never had a histogram on the D7200 other than in review, so I'm not worried about that. I'll learn to like it. Well, I've got it set up. I'm still not loving it, but the first image that I've taken, I quite like. I'm trying to get to grips with what buttons you have to press to get what things to work. I've set it up with the spirit level on the display screen. F16, 1/16 of a second. White balance is God knows what, because I haven't figured that one out yet. I think it might be on auto, but I'm not sure. The fall coming into the right hand side, some beautiful green rocks over on the left hand side. Yes, I quite like that image. It's not as intuitive, I don't think, as the D7200. Everything's got to be set on menus. Whereas with the D7200, I've got a button and a button and a button and a button, and everything does what it needs to do. It is quite a nice touch, being able to zoom in with the screen. Everything looks perfectly sharp. It should be at f16, shouldn't it, really? Let's be honest. Not the most exciting of images, but then it's not the most exciting of days. But today is purely about trying out this camera, seeing if I can learn to love it, and get over the fact that it's so bloody small. But there's no filters. You don't really need filters down here unless I'm going to include some of the sky, which I might do when I shoot down that way a little bit, but it's more sort of close-ups today. I'll tell you what, it's actually growing on me, this camera. The few little bits and pieces that I found that I really like are kind of swaying me to it. The sunlight is really, really bright, as you can probably tell, so it's kind of spoiling any images that I'm taking down here, or it's reducing, at least reducing the options that I have. The one thing I can't get used to is it goes to sleep. So you leave it for a couple of minutes, or a minute, and I'm sure you can change it, and everything goes to sleep. You have to press the shutter release button to bring it back to life. But I do quite like the fact that as I go into it, the LCD disappears and the image goes into the viewfinder. I'm quite liking that. And I'm loving the fact that the screen shows you exactly what's happening with your exposure as you change your f-stop and your shutter speed. I think I quite like that. So yes, I'm kind of learning to love it. The next step for me is to take it out on a proper shoot, not a let's have a wander around the woods and see what we can get type of shoot, which this is. Blinking cold. I took my gloves off because my hands got too hot. And now I've been stood around for a couple of minutes and put them back on because it's frigging freezing. Yes, I'm going to have to set up some shortcuts for the white balance because going into the menu to fix it every time is a pain in the arse. I'm going to carry on and I've wandered all the way down the bottom and now I'm wandering all the way at the top, just having a nosy to see what I can find. It's having to be closer up images because there's no interest in the trees yet. The secondary reason for coming down is to see how far along the bluebells are. And another couple of weeks, I think.